There is something wrong with the firewood industry. And maybe wrong is the wrong word. I think probably there is something missing from the firewood industry. I think that is the more accurate statement. And I have felt this way for a while. But it's just me. I do my own thing. But in my position now, I start seeing things at a different level. I see things globally, industry-wide now. And there's something missing from the firewood industry. And I got this idea because of Dan from Back 40 Firewood. If you didn't know, he started a new product, and he is selling mini firewood. It's firewood for these mini fire pits. And, are they a fad or are they not? I don't think they are. I think they're on to something because now there's a lot of people making them. And Dan found a market that wasn't being met because these people don't have, firewood that can be burnt in these little miniature fire pits. They go break sticks, out in the yard, or they buy pellets or like those little hockey pucks and they burn it in that. And it's just not the same experience. And who uses these mini fire pits are the people, they live in cities or they're apartment dwellers or they live in a townhome. And there's just no readily available wood to put in their mini fire pit. Well, there is a need. There is a hole in the market. There is a market that's not being met. And Dan figured it out, and he put together a plan. He got USDA certification, and he's selling mini firewood, and he's mailing it through the U.S. mail. I think that's a great idea. There is a market that's not being met. And I kind of feel the same way about Ohio Woodburner. I had always felt that there's a market that's not being met. People in firewood, I think we get set in our ways. We do firewood the way that we did it as kids, the way that our parents did it, the way that our grandparents did it. And I had determined that there is a market that's not being met. And that would be, these occasional burners, high-end residential, people that don't want a lot of firewood. They just want a little bit, and they're willing to pay a premium to have quality, mud-free, moss-free firewood delivered to their house with a professional delivery service. And that's the heart and soul of Ohio Woodburner. There was a market out there that wasn't getting met. And when you enter a new market, for instance, the way Dan has entered, the small firewood market, the way I entered the value-added firewood market, it isn't just getting a customer. What you figure out right away is that you get a customer for life. Those recurring sales is what generates your business's engine. It keeps it firing. It allows you to grow. It allows you to expand. And it kind of reminds me, guys, if you are around my age, if you remember the energy crunch of the 70s, when all of the American cars were these gigantic frame V8s that got 12 miles to the gallon. Along came this little car company named Datsun. Here in Ohio, they were known as Datsun. Whatever. Datsun started making these cars. They were small, fuel efficient, reliable, and a lot of the young people that were just graduating college or going into the workforce, they bought them. And they liked them. And as their families grew, they would trade them in and they would buy another Datsun. Datsun eventually became Nissan. There you go. Datsun just didn't win a customer. They won a customer for life. They entered a new market that didn't exist, and they knocked it out of the park, and they claimed it as their own. So where I'm going with this, guys, I'm thinking of firewood, and I see a lot of really cool machines out there. I have made the comment that I do believe 50 years from now, we're going to look back upon this era as the golden age of the firewood machine. They're getting really cool. There's a lot of friendly competition, healthy competition. These machines are getting better, more efficient, and they're a lot of cool to watch, They're really cool to own. I mean, come on. There's something that is just a blast about splitting wood with the Eastonmade Axis or the 37D. Or any of the Wolf Ridge splitters. The same thing with processors. They keep getting better, and they can just eat through a log in no time and just spit out dynamite firewood. For instance, the one, I don't know if I can see it, that's over my shoulder. Yeah, I don't know where it's at. It's back there somewhere. All right, but here's the deal. When I look at the firewood industry, I see a market for like the homeowner. And, let's talk about log splitters here. The homeowner log splitters, those I-beam splitters, the county lines, from the big box stores, the Husky, what else? The Troy-Bilt, which is what I got started with. And then you got on the other end of the spectrum, the commercial grade splitters, your Eastonmade splitters, Wolf Ridge, Timberwolf. All right. All of these splitters that are out there, they're serving in the commercial market, but there's somewhere in between these two guys. And that's where I'm saying that the firewood industry is missing something. It's just like, when Datsun came along and they filled that void. And I see it with a lot of the guys and gals that are trying to get into the firewood industry, and they're not looking to grow big. They're just looking to make a couple of extra bucks on the side, or they're doing it just for fun or to get the family involved. And that is the market that's being missed. I would call that, you got the homeowners market and you got the commercial market. I think right in the middle is a market, and I'm just going to call it the home production market. And what is really in that home production market? These are people that don't have big yards like me. They don't have big equipment, but they're not just splitting firewood for their winter use. They're in production. They're making bundles. They're selling firewood on the side. But what machines are out there for home production? And there's a few of them right now that come to mind. Let's be honest here, the super splitter. I experienced that myself. I started with that Troy-Bilt 27 ton, slow. I could fall asleep and catch on my nap while I was splitting wood with that thing. The super splitter comes along though, and everything changes. It's like that high production, but it is still affordable. It's still appropriate for a homeowner where you're not going to wake the neighbors or wake the dead for as loud as some of these machines are. They're not just super duper big and inappropriate for that first introduction into the firewood market. The other one that comes to mind is like the Eastonmade Ultra. There you go. It's high production. It's got a fast cycle and it's relatively affordable. I envision, I'm still talking about log splitters here. I envision a home production log splitter would have a fast cycle. I think it should be able to pick the log up off the ground, because if you're in production, you're probably going to be getting any log that you can get, and usually the free ones are the big ones. And I think it's got to have a small footprint so it can be tucked away inside of a garage. And I think the price has got to be around, maybe I'm stuck in the market from 5 years ago. I think it needs to be around $5,000-ish, something that's affordable. But what a log splitter company, what a firewood machine company can do in that time is not just get a customer, not just sell a machine, but you're developing brand loyalty. You're developing a customer for life. And yes, it's great watching all of these super duper machines that are out there. I love them. And that's what I'm saying. This is the golden era of the firewood machine guys. But what are we missing? I see a market that's not necessarily being met. I see a market that is wide open for someone to step right in and claim it and knock it out of the park. Not only are you going to make a lot of sales, but you're going to win customers for life. And that is that fuel that can power your sales growth in the coming years. So that's the thoughts, guys, that's been on my mind. I wanted to share it with you. Now you're probably asking, Joe, why are you sitting in your truck? It is because this weather is just garbage. I tried doing this outside and it's like standing in a hurricane out there. It is super windy and I hate that noise of the wind blowing through the microphone. So I'm sitting in my truck. I'm getting ready to go on a delivery, but I had this on my mind. I wanted to share it with you, and I don't know. There's other firewood machines out there too, like firewood processors. Okay, the processor is usually your first step into the commercial market. But there are still some lower end entry level firewood processors that are out there that, depending on where you live, you might be able to make them work. But they're highly dependent on the right kind of wood that you can get. And that's where I'm saying, you may live in an area where it's not appropriate for Log Hauler Jesse to show up at your house and unload a triaxle load of skinny poles so that you can run them through your smaller firewood processor. Probably not realistic. It just seems like the first way into firewood is with a chainsaw and a log splitter. And I think it's just too difficult to ask for a person who's wanting to get into the firewood market that sees a a I-beam splitter is just too slow and it's getting you nowhere fast. But then the leap into a commercial grade splitter is just too big of a leap. And I'm saying that center area, that sweet spot, the home production market, I think that is where if I had a log splitter company, and again, I don't know what I'm talking about here, it could not be economically feasible. I think, you got to look at the profitability of these kind of machines because you're asking for a fast cycle, an extra ram to pick logs up off the ground, probably a 4-way knife. Okay, all of these add up to get it to where it's affordable for a person in home production to be able to buy it and use it effectively to help their market grow. But I'm just saying, customer for life. They're either going to grow and trade it in and get a new one, or they're going to hold on to that splitter forever because, these log splitters don't necessarily wear out. So here I am sitting in the comfort of my truck. Gosh, is it windy out. Couple things that I just want to make an announcement on. The International Firewood Expo has been very well received. I got a flood of requests from manufacturers that want in, and I am reluctant to grow any bigger simply because, we only got so much space, and I would hate for a person to truck in a machine all this way and then, they're in an area where they're not getting a lot of visibility. I'm hoping we can keep everything inside the wall here, but, if it gets a little bit too big, we can put some things on the outside of the wall. I've had a number of gracious offers for raffle items, and I think that we can make that happen. And I am working with the city, who's very interested in this. The mayor came out and visited me and, just wanted to see what was going on out here. Had a very nice time, and I hope that you get to meet our mayor one time here in our little city. The other thing that I wanted to mention, guys, so we have this eclipse coming up on April the 8th, and I had thought out loud of maybe we could have something going on here, but I'm going to have to pull the plug on this. So there's been a lot of talk in the news. I have a friend who works for ODOT, and it could be a mess. They are going to be announcing a state of emergency for this because there's just going to be everyone in the world coming into this area, and they're predicting people are going to be spending the night on the highways because of gridlock, people running out of gas, and they're going to be telling people if you're going to come up here to pack food and be prepared for an overnight stay, out on the highway. And I just think it would be irresponsible for me to have anything here and ask you guys to come on out because I think it could turn out to be something unpleasant. So I don't know what I am going to do. I would still hope I can bring it to you guys who don't have the luxury of coming into Northeast Ohio to watch a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But I thought I will try to do something, but anything, for you guys, I am going to say no, because I care about you guys and I don't want to see anyone getting overextended out here on a big event such as this eclipse. Okay, guys, that's all. I just wanted to share all this information with you, and I'm serious though about home production, and maybe that is who you are. And if you are a home producer, start looking for that appropriate machine. Maybe these bigger professional grade splitters aren't the right answer for you right now. Maybe they will be in the future. But start training your eye and look for these kind of splitters out there that can fit into your master plan. And there are some of them out there, but, start training your eye for home production. These wood wrappers, they're right in that sweet spot for home production. Heck yeah, because people don't wrap firewood for home use. They wrap it to sell it. And they are very affordable. I think that's a perfect idea, for home production. They're affordable. You can pay that thing off quick with your sales and selling bundles in your area. So that is home production. And just marry it with a splitter that is appropriate, that is still productive but affordable. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and everyone have a great day.